This is my husband, Austin. And today we're just going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a sit down and talk about our life a little bit so you can get to know us. And number one on our episode is going to be about Christianity. So that's where we're going to start.
Yeah, so we just filmed it. Caution, there's a little bit of whining in the background, but...
We live in a tiny home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We live in a small home, so unfortunately that will happen. However, we have something in place that's going to neutralize that for next videos, and no kids were harmed in the making of that. So. But yeah, that won't be an issue moving forward. We'll make sure we rectify that. Okay, so we wanted to have you all sit down with us, and we just want to talk about kind of who we are, and going through these priorities and orders will kind of illuminate that hopefully to the audience. But the first thing, which we just filmed, is Christianity. That is what everything moves by and through. And so that's why we did it first. The next thing is family. And so in that episode, we have planned to talk about the relationship between myself and Lindsay. And not really in a general sense. We want to actually get specific and talk about how we prioritize things. And then certainly with our children, because I think this is something that we see so often, is that kids just don't have respect for their parents. And it breaks my heart because you know that their parents are doing everything they can to provide for them, take care of them. They have their best interest at heart. But you can do all of those things and not instill healthy discipline and standards, and have a kid that's just so unappreciative until they're out of the house and they're actually, in the thick of it. And so hopefully we can shed some light on that. The next thing that we're going to talk about is living within your means. And I will talk a little bit about this, but then Lindsay's going to hit the rest, because this is something that she does extraordinarily well. Not to say she's not a good Christian and she doesn't take care of her children well, because she does far more than I do in that aspect. But all right, living within your means. So by the grace of God, we have no debt. The only things that we pay, and maybe there's a little bit too much transparency, is our internet, our obviously electricity, and our insurance for our vehicles. Do we drive new vehicles, Lindsay? No, we don't drive new vehicles.
Not at all.
Thankfully, YouTube, right, this platform that we are both on, is so robust that if something goes wrong with a vehicle, 9 times out of 10, there's a video on it for that exact same model and year, and I can work on it for pennies on the dollar that you're going to pay a mechanic. So living within your means is harder in some aspects because it requires more out of you. And then in other aspects, it just comes naturally. So just give them a few little teasers for that video. What are we going to talk about?
Living within your means? Well, one is I don't ever buy new clothes for my children. I always get them thrifted or hand-me-downs from someone. And a second is we buy our food in bulk. And here lately, we've been doing the carnivore diet. I don't know if I'm rambling, but we do the carnivore diet, which saves a lot of money as well, because we're only buying meat, and we're not just constantly eating snacks and just all the packaged goods that you would get at the store. So those are just a few of the ways.
And we'll get in the weeds with a lot of this stuff. It's probably going to be a little bit of a lengthier video, because we want to talk about how are we managing subscriptions? It's something as small as subscriptions. All the stuff and things. So we will hopefully get into that. And then the following video after that is Shed to Home. We're probably going to dabble in that as we go through the living within your means, because why buy a mansion when you can live in a affordable, smaller home? I mean, it's essentially that. Now, this is 100% affordable, but it is small. And we have, she's called the channel Hickeys and Counting, because we're not preventing anything from happening. We're likely going to have 7, if the Lord wills, 8. Who knows? The sky's the limit. And so Shed to Home will actually go through looking at the various things of our house, talking about cost, talking about what myself, my gracious family, so my dad and my younger but next oldest brother was able to do to actually get what we're in now to this point. And almost all of it, I would say 90 to 95% of it was done with their hands in mind. And so that's been a wonderful benefit. And then homesteading. While we are relatively new to this, we are on a property out here that is, what is it, just over 8 acres or just under 9 acres? It's between 8 and 9 acres. Okay.
Just call it 8.
Yeah, we'll just call it 8. We're actually going to walk through the land. We're going to talk about how we get as many chickens, as many livestock, which by no means are we even close to being commercial or any of that nonsense. But we're going to talk about practical things that you can do on almost no land at all. Because while we have this amount of land, as you will come to find out when we film this video, we're certainly not utilizing a fraction of what we actually have. So you don't need, I know 8 acres is nothing to some people, but to you others, you're like, 8 acres, how in the world? So again, we're going to talk about that and give you some practical things that you can do, whether you're starting chickens, what sort of chickens you should start if you're getting them for meat production, or if you're getting them to produce eggs. We're going to talk about that. Yeah, so those are the things that we're going to cover. When do you think a timeline for?
I mean, they're just going to come out periodically whenever we get the chance to do them, because he does work. So that's what we're going to do. So the first one is after this intro.
Yeah.
Christianity.
Yeah. We've already filmed it. I think she's already rendered it. It's ready to go up.
Expect the family one about our family, our growing family. You can expect that soon.
Yeah, I would say within a week.
Maybe.
When she created all of this, she's been pumping out far more, in my opinion, because again, I'm her biggest fan. Don't you dare say anything about her, right? But I'm her biggest fan, so she has done wonderful.
Thank you.
With having zero background in any of this, and being really, really an introvert. And I think some of that shows through in the videos. But
and also, I'll put it out there, if you want to see anything about us or know anything, just comment and we can make a video about that as well.
100%. And I think another thing that's worth noting is, like, the job that I have, which, thank you, Lord, that I have a job that's able to support the family. We're not looking to make anything other than simply add value to a viewer. Because Lindsay, certainly years ago, she was one of those, when we didn't have 6 kids, she was one of those that would sit down, watch 4 hours of, not back to back to back, but you
I
get
would
the
still
idea.
do it if I had time.
Watch 4 hours of, mama's doing X, Y, and Z, or a homestead, or a barn dominium, or she would watch hours of this content, and there was always something lacking. And we certainly see that now, being on the other end of it, the different bottlenecks and hurdles that we had to go through to get to where we are now, that hopefully, and I know everybody says this, but hopefully we can add value to you if you're interested or possibly considering making any of these moves. So that's that. I won't meander any longer. Do you have anything to add before we?
No, just thank you for your time, because I know this is going to be a long video. So if you make it to the end, I appreciate it.
All right. Well, we'll see you.
Bye, guys.